I changed at Birmingham, got the wrong station actually, International instead of New Street, missed the connection, left my glasses on the other train, thought 3 hours to Newcastle, got my laptop, loads of schoolwork to do, no glasses, and the guy said, hey, in the carriage, have these, £1 from Poundland. So I've not managed to get to the shop to get any other glasses, so it's my £1 Poundland ones. But if anyone's, I was photographed and put on Twitter yesterday by Javi, who I work with, a Spanish guy. When I put them on at work, he said, you look just like Michael Gove. So I'm really not happy with those glasses, but never mind. So it's those thick-rimmed Michael Gove sort of glasses, isn't it? Yeah, anyway. Okay, right, so lovely to be here, and I was trying to get in the mood by playing the Manic Street Preachers on the car stereo coming down it. Get a little bit of Welsh into me, they're not bad at times. Don't like all of their stuff, but some of it's not bad. So I need to just find out your names, and what I would warn people, I did say to Nia before, will there be some space for audience participation, because there's no way I'm going to talk to a class or adults for an hour and a quarter without doing some sort of interaction along the way. Okay, well, look, I'm German and Spanish. So I'm a bit like Jeremy Kyle doing this. ¿Cómo se llama? Wie heißen Sie?
Julian, please.
Okay. Comment vous appelez-vous?
Jonathan Rees.
Comment se llama?
Me llamo Tim.
Okay. Now I've got to say, you know, if it was a class, I'd be very impressed with 2 of those answers, not so impressed with the other 2. Okay, but I have to say well done to Wales, because that's a lot better response than I get in England. Now let's try that activity in English. What's your name?
Sarah Rhodes.
Okay, now don't ask you, because those were. What's your name?
Tim.
Okay, now that's really interesting for me. And the thing I love about, I'm still passionate about language teaching, and I'm still in the classroom 4 days a week, and I just do the one day as Hampshire language advisor, 80 secondary schools, 500 primaries, one person. It's a busy day, that one. Okay, but I still love being in the classroom, and what I love doing is self-reflecting about how I can be better, and how, like you, we can get more kids taking languages in Key Stage 4, which is what you've invited me to speak about here, ways of engaging to achieve that end. And you know, self-reflection is such a key thing within teaching, and I had a Year 8 class, and this was a couple of years ago, and they just came in, and I just thought I'd try this, because I was just thinking about my own teaching and methodology, and I just went around, top set Year 8. They'd learned German for a year and a half. I just started off by saying, wie heißt du, wie heißt du? And they all said, ich heiße, and then I got an occasional ich bin, and then I was just sort of tutting as I heard each answer, and going, you know, really supporting the pupils. You never get a humanities teacher doing that, would you? They'd be, oh, unlucky poppet, nice answer, oh, you're getting there. You know, all these touch. If I knock humanities, excuse me, but you know, when they have to teach a proper subject, you know, our results are compared against them, and I really object to that. But, and suddenly Tom said, Tom, and I got the Haribo out, so I always reward him. He's producing Spanish lessons and gummy bears in German lessons, and the class were in uproar. They said, what the hell is going on? Why has he got a reward? Oh, he didn't even speak any German. He just said, Tom. I said, well, let's replay it. Let's consider this. You know, I'm going to do the same thing in English. What's your name? Boom. Wow. And it just told me, I thought I was teaching these kids quite well, but what am I teaching them? They felt that they could only answer in a whole sentence in a totally unnatural way. And that made me think about the practice, and we just spent the whole lesson then doing sort of minimalist response, which we would call, oh, how do I move this on? And we looked at this sort of thing, and now very clearly in our Year 7 scheme of work, where I work at Horton School, big 1,800 comprehensive school near Southampton. Okay, and this is very much part of our opening half term, if you like, that yes, we want kids to be able to construct sentences, that's important. But if there's a question marker there, we also want them to be able to answer in an authentic way. And that's the sort of conversation, the meet and greet, we all do it, you know, when we teach Year 7. And, you know, how many times in the past, and I used to do it for 15 years or more, you know, wie heißt du, ich heiße, wie alt bist du, ich bin, full sentence response. But is that really natural language? I'm thinking, no. So on the one hand, I'm thinking, yes, we'll do lessons where we're constructing sentences, but on the other hand, I want the kids feeling really comfortable that anything we do, they can just give this very quick, authentic response. And that's going to be really important, because you know, making the kids see that the language they're learning is actually what people are speaking in the country of the language they're learning is very important. And we need to make that message clear to kids, because I bet you lots of kids sit there in the language lessons thinking this is posh. This is only spoken by adults. This is only spoken by... They don't think it's something they can actually use. And making them see that, this is all part of it, isn't it? Yes, this is the way people talk. Okay, this is what I want you to do in our languages lesson. Of course, unfortunately, when they get to controlled assessment, I have to say, forget all of that. Give me whole sentences. Well, you always... sorry, but this is the way, this is the game, we've got to play it now. This is my job. If you don't get that grade, I'm sacked. Okay, that's why you've got to answer in sentences now. Okay, fine. They'll believe anything. Okay, but that is important, isn't it? So just a reflection on our practice, because what this also does is opens the door, very importantly, for the lower ability learners. How many times do they not answer because they can't achieve the full sentence? They sit there and they struggle and they say nothing. But if they've got license just to know that that is a valid response, it makes life much easier, doesn't it, for the whole of the ability range. So I would thoroughly recommend this idea of, you know, authenticity in what they're saying, and, I'll say this in English, making them fully aware of what you're doing and why we're doing it as a, you know, motivational factor in learning language. And I really am into motivation, you know, as a languages teacher like you are, that I'm really depressed with the targets and the talk about learning that goes on, and the people, language teachers being told as part of whole school policy to spend 10 minutes for kids write down what they've learnt today and set themselves a target. It's shocking. Isn't it shocking? Because we know the basic picture is, if kids are engaged and motivated, that's the biggest factor of anything in them learning. That's all I do. I try and teach lessons. I don't have a tick list. I'm not going down that line. And to be fair to Ofsted, they don't either. The senior leadership teams have hijacked this to a large extent in your schools. But we know if kids are engaged and they're happy and they're fit and they want to come into your lesson, that's the battle won, really, isn't it? They'll achieve as well as they can if they have that sort of attitude to language learning. So authentic, is there any way I can just move it on without having to click next every time? I'm not very IT savvy. That isn't my oh, thank you, sir. That isn't my skill area. And you know, another one of this self-reflection, how am I going to really engage kids again? It's meeting their needs, you know, teaching them what they need to be able to say as well, isn't it? Very much going down that line. And, you know, that's not an original thought, but do we always do it? Or do we just follow the pattern that we've always learned? Good example of that. And, you know, just thinking about what we teach year 7. Why must it always follow the pattern of name, age, birthday? Because the kids want to say, I like something, I don't, more than anything. So why don't we just teach them, me gusta, no me gusta, the first lesson they ever have? Just find out their name, short answer, then teach them to be able to say, I like something, I don't. Because that, to them, is much more relevant than a birthday. In actual fact, it's really weird that when we do birthdays, we always teach my birthday is on. But actually, what kids want to say, they want to come into the room and say, today's my birthday. That's actually how they use it. Okay? And, you know, dates are funny, aren't they? I don't really like teaching year 7 because I can't tell all my jokes for you. They don't get the jokes. And so I always prefer up school. But I've been given 2 year 7 classes this year, Spanish and a German. Okay, and it's really funny. I get really frustrated with them. Put your hand. I spend my time teaching going like this. No, I'm not taking a question. No. Okay, and we all know the scenario. Then, you know, whenever you set a homework today, and I know I'm going to say, right, the date is due in. Okay, right, should we get this out? Okay, in the next week, someone tell me who's got a birthday, what's happening, because you say that it's due in next Wednesday or something, oh, that's my auntie's birthday, or we're going to town that day. It's always a day in their life, isn't it? But no, it's homework in on that day, so never mind. But this is teenage mood swings. I was thinking, and it happened, because my lessons aren't perfect. I live in the real world, I'm teaching. Not every kid writes my lessons. I do my best, but not all of them do. And there was one moment last year, and the boy was there, and he went, oh, this is so boring. Oh God, and I was going to get really bitter like you do, and I was going to reduce myself to their level. And I just said, yeah, but I get paid for you being bored. That wasn't bitter and twisted, was it? Okay, but, and I just thought to myself, it would be nice if he'd said it in German. Okay, so I posted from that one. I suddenly thought, teenage mood swings, they're happening all the time. And I'm beyond that now. I'm not connected enough with teenagers. And my youngest son's 17, so he's left secondary school now. So I think I've only got a couple of years because I won't know what they're watching on TV or what they're listening to anymore. It's going to go. So, but anyway, I thought, yeah, they're having them all the time, and we need to be able to know what they're having to teach them. There's certain things you need to know about teenagers to be able to teach them. Okay, I have to be careful what I say, because I know we've got some youngsters in the audience and there's health and safety protection issues. But apparently, if you Google it, teenage boys think about a certain matter every 17 seconds. Okay, so when you're teaching them, you just need to bear that in mind. They can maybe say, you've got 16 seconds, and they'll be off task. It goes up, when you get to 50, it goes up to about 30 seconds, I think. Anyway, so teenage mood swings. I thought, yes, I'm going to equip them with the language that they need. So I'm going to promote this. Whenever they have a mood swing, I'm going to play it like, I'm old, I want to be able to teach you effectively. So can you let me know when you're having a mood swing, because I can adapt my teaching to your needs. You know, personalised learning, Ofsted love it, teenagers love it. And, okay, but I'm not going to get them to tick a box and reflect with each other on their mood swing. I'm not going to do that rubbish. Okay, so we learn, you know, I'm feeling. We did the structure in German. Ich fühle mich aggressiv. Ich fühle mich wohl. Ich fühle mich müde. You know, we just did all the things they might want to say. And then the rule is in the classroom that any time they have a mood swing, it doesn't matter if I'm talking, they can just shout it out as long as it's in German. So it's quite comical. You're just teaching something. Ich fühle mich gelangweilt. Okay. Oh, es tut mir leid. Okay. Interessante, yeah? Okay. Aufstehen, and we'll do some disco, you know, because I've got to do it because he's had a mood swing. Okay? But again, it's silly, it's gimmicky in a way, but they love it. Okay? And it's just thinking out. I just thought when that kid said I'm bored, I thought, I'll keep it saying German then. It's fine. So just little things like that make the difference, isn't it? Okay, Kira was talking to me earlier about a Spanish group, A-level group she's got, who she made paella with in year 10, and how they still remember that moment. And I believe in memorable moments, I really do. Motivational and memorable moments. That's what kids remember. Okay? And the more of those we can pack into a lesson, the better. They won't remember whole lessons, but if they'll remember motivational moments, they'll want to come back into your subject if they can remember those. It's really important. So, teenage mood swings, left hand. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So, what I really want to talk through is, and it is a personalised, there's no rhyme or reason to this, it's just my 25 years now of teaching and what I think may work, okay, and allow me to still be old and teach young people, hopefully. And I've been observing food technology lessons in our school quite recently as part of whole school monitoring, which is quite interesting, going out your subject area, having to grade the lessons, which I don't like. I tried to persuade our head teacher, because of Ofsted's change about not grading lessons, into making it a very developmental process where we don't tell teachers the judgment, we just talk about the good things about the lesson and maybe the development of it. But no, we've got to have judgment still. Your schools are probably the same. But I just thought I'd phrase it like this. You know, what am we looking for in this lesson that's going to make kids take it at Key Stage 3 into Key Stage 4? And this particular lesson, I was thinking about this, they were making Cornish pasties. And I came in on the second half and I had to judge how much progress they're making. So I was just walking around as they're making their pasties, sort of saying, so what quality controls, Chloe, are you exercising? Because I could see this was their objective. And, what are you doing? She says, well, I've got to think, sir, about my potatoes. You know, how soft are they or not? I said, oh, Chloe, how are you exercising that quality control there? She said, well, it sticks a knife in them, and it tells me if the spuds are soft or not. I said, oh, well done, outstanding, you're the teacher. And I thought, complex sentence building, moving between tenses, checking how soft your spuds are. Is there any really, is it a level playing field? Is it? When their results sit alongside ours, is it a level playing field? Now, I love cooking, I love food tech and all of that, but let's just accept it's not quite got the same rigour, has it, as language learning, really? Same as PEB tech, it's a good subject in its own right, but don't compare it against us, please, when the results come out, because everyone knows we're hard. Okay, these are the things I want to achieve, and there's the rigour. Okay, and our progress is over time, isn't it? That's another thing. We can't do this immediate progress. Like some subjects seem to put them off times over a day, and their grade is risen by the end of it. How do they achieve that? I'm not asking a question. Okay, but we can't do it, can we? We are cumulative. And we have double lessons in Year 9. I have a mixed ability Year 9, 4 and 5 on a Friday. Not today, it's every other week. Okay, and you know, it's a killer. I find that very hard. It's mixed ability, it's 2 hours of German on a Friday. It's really difficult. And it's not good for the kids. So we tread water, you know, we have to do input in the first lesson, lots of activities and consolidation. And the second, it's really hard to achieve, isn't it, planning a lesson? And no doubt some of you have got that situation. And we need to have talks with our leadership team saying this is not good for language. Do you know it's scientifically proven that it's cumulative? It's little and often. Okay, so that's all part of the package as well. We can't motivate kids if we're not given the right amount of curriculum time in the right measure. That's also very important that we make, and our progress is over time, isn't it? Not so much. In the early days it's in individual lessons, but then it's over time. Okay, so yeah, I'm making the point that we are different and we need to get that message across. Okay, and we can be different in many ways. I use inflatables quite a lot in Key Stage 3. There's my AFL for you. Okay, so AFL for me is when the kids are talking to each other and working, if one spots a mistake, they're allowed to notify me and I check it is a mistake, and then they grab the inflatable hammer and they whack the other kid. Like, they do enjoy it. Year 11, that's year 11. Okay, they love it. Okay, and so there's the microphones, the hammers, all the inflatable things. They just really enjoy working with those. But don't do what I did, which was when I was just checking out some internet prices. I did a search on the staff room computer for inflatables. And I was called into, I know we have a young audience, I was called into the head teacher's office, and I had to defend myself. Don't worry, it's fine. So it was this. Okay, that's fine, great. You can have another year with us. Okay, so subject identity, though, isn't it? It's all about subject identity. Now, we know that independence, engagement is linked to progress, that the pupils need to feel that they're making progress in our subjects as well as enjoying it, but I think the two, like I said earlier, very much go together. If they're engaged, they will progress as well as they can within our subject area. But if we look at phonics, first of all, and I really like this because it's a new idea. I've only done this since September of this year. It just came to me. Let's look at the teaching of the alphabet. Who teaches the alphabet very early on in Year 7? Okay, now I used to, and I've only just managed to persuade my other colleagues at school to stop teaching it as well. Because they said, oh, we love marching around doing, we'd say there. I said, yeah, but, hold on. Okay, we're looking at Key Stage 3 particularly for a little investment and a lot of gain. Now think about the alphabet. It's actually really difficult for low ability. It's a lot of different bits of information to take in at one time. And how often, what's the payback for all of that work? And people say to me, but it's good fun doing it. Yeah, but you can do that with any set of words. Okay, what's the payback from it? Well, they remember it for a lesson or two and they can spell something, but then really it gets lost. Do they use the alphabet? It used to be in the GCSE role play, didn't it, in the old one, where they had to spell their name. That was always interesting because it used to be you had to spell 4 letters correctly to get the mark, years ago. And then AQA had a Chinese lad called Chi, which had 3 letters in it. And they didn't know how to mark it. So basically you could say every letter wrong and you'd have to get a mark still. So they said 4, it was all a bit silly. But they don't really have to spell out words. Okay, and we tend to do it for a while and then it just gets lost. So if you go back to them in Year 9 and they say the alphabet, they probably can't even remember enough to spell their own name. So I actually don't think it's worth it. But what is worth it is the phonics. And the phonics isn't necessarily the alphabet, is it? Because a kid knows Upsilon in German. What use is that really to them? It doesn't tell them how to pronounce a word with that letter in it. Not that it features much in German. Anyway, so I teach the vowel sounds and I teach the key phonic sounds, and that's what I focus on, but I don't teach the alphabet. Okay? Because that doesn't necessarily help them read a word and say it. Okay? But the vowel sounds in the language do. Okay? So I was just teaching these, and doing that. In German, it's the 3 umlaut ones we do as well. So we do A, E, U, U, E, and these. And I was just teaching this, and I thought, oh yeah, this is nice. Okay, because intonation is also very important, isn't it? Okay, and we sometimes forget that. It's intonation as well as pronunciation. So, who teaches German? Okay, I'm going to come to the front. Now we're going to have a conversation just using vowel sounds. Okay, so we're only allowed to use A, E, U, U, E. Yeah? U, 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 I, U, U. Very good. That was excellent. Now that was a new idea for me with Year 7, just to get them using the vowel sounds, but also to practice intonation. So the listener had to think, what was the person saying within those sounds? You can actually do it with any phonic sounds. And they loved it. Okay, they're just having these massive conversations just using this set of sounds. Okay, but their intonation was brilliant. I thought this is really exciting. They're actually learning something here. And then of course, every time they recognise that vowel sound in a word, they can hopefully say it correctly because they've learned them really well in the lessons. Okay, so there's a little idea. And I did the same in my Spanish class. Okay, and then I was thinking about things, and then I thought, when we did the I just remember as a kid, there was a South American commentator who did this really long goal, and it was used on TV. But I thought about Spain winning the World Cup and Iniesta scoring, and I thought there's got to be someone on YouTube. Now, I hope the sound's loud enough. Have you got a way of adjusting the volume? Okay, so we're just going to watch this short clip. Oh, we started there as well. I think to watch that one now. It's going to be louder. That is quite funny. But it's brilliant because it's just loads of easy words. There's a lot of campeón, and using this to practice the pronunciation. It's Iniesta, España 1, Holanda 0, campeones del mundo. Okay, it's all of these really nice things for the kids to pronounce, but it's also got the goal in there. So I thought, oh, this is going to be brilliant. So they got their phones out on the tables, so we said we're going to, okay, learning objective today, to say goal. Okay, but there's a lot of phonics behind this. Okay, so each table there was very much against health and safety. There was kids going red in the face, collapsing, everything. I had to model it because we always got to model things as language teachers. So I did go. No, I managed 21 seconds, useless. Okay, 34 was the best in my class. So they all did it around tables. The teacher next door wondered what the hell's going on. Just like loads of kids going, go! Okay, and 34 seconds. And then I got all the other classes, because we're parallel. I emailed it around to my colleagues and said, come on, do this, show them this, focus on that. And I've got the full names, what they don't know. On the Christmas assembly in year 7, I'm going in there, and I'm going to call out, we're going to have the competition in front of the whole year. Okay, live, go! It's going to be great fun. And of course it raises language's profile as well. So little touches like that are so important, I think, along the way in getting kids on our side. So if you want to do the phonics, okay, think about the conversation with the vowel sounds. Think about if you teach Spanish, you can do that. And I'm sure there's something in French as well. Okay, German's a bit more precise. They know they're going to score 8 against Brazil or whatever. They just say, toi, yeah. For a Germanist, that's being very stereotypical, isn't it? I shouldn't do that. So I call it footy for phonics. We've had faith in football, haven't we? Has that come to Wales, that idea of faith in football? No? Okay, it sort of mixes Christianity and football. The guy who used to play for Portsmouth, what's his name, is a Christian, and he sort of started it. It's quite interesting. I'm not particularly religious, but I think it's a good thing to do. There's more examples where I'm trying to establish this subject identity for languages. We are different. People know we're different. We're the only ones who understand grammar in a secondary school, aren't we? Because the English department are all media teachers, really. And, they don't teach much. And they don't read the books even, do they? And I don't know why Gove, when he switched to American literature, I was just saying with Steve last night about this conversation, it was easy to me what the choice of books would be. Just choose 10 they haven't made a film out of. Then they have to read them. Just go for those, but he didn't go that. But, the English department came to me last week, and this is how interesting it is with literacy, because we're trying to work with English to establish commonality, with the increased grammar coming in the new GCSE and everything, and just finding out the terms we use are different. So they say, we say definite article, indefinite article, our English department say determiners. And that's interesting. So the kids are getting a different message. We thought we need to establish commonality here. And the other one is that, they're worried about tenses. They came to me and said, can we come in and watch you teaching a tense lesson? So all my lessons are tense. So I said, why is that? Because we're worried about, in English, they just switch. Of course they can construct the tense accurately, but they switch. Kids start writing in the present tense and then switch to the past without rhyme or reason. So that's what the English department were worried about. And they wanted to see how we get across this message of switching tense to try. That was interesting, wasn't it? And shows about that. So we are different. People know we're different. We're considered to be elitist on other subjects, aren't we? It's only because I tell humanities they're easy. It's not being elitist. Right? But you know, we are also different. We need to make a case. So what else can we do? Well, there's my Chupa-Chups. There was one Chupa-Chups answer. My Haribo gummy bears are given for good answers all the time. No healthy living schools where I am. Okay, and there's some of our artificial food. We don't buy textbooks. We spend it all. A lovely company in Chicago. We get a shipment every year of artificial food. The kids love it. Wigs. The drama department come to us to borrow props. That's what we spend our money on. Buy no textbooks now. We never use textbooks. And I have my Super Geil sticker there. Okay, walking around with it. Okay, but you know, the boys don't want it on the books, do they? They want it on their arm. That's where boys get motivated. I'll put it in the arm, say, oh, another one. Okay, oh, you didn't wash. You got them on from 2 months ago. Right. So it's all right. Okay, so we've got to have our gimmicks. We've got to be there with the inflatables, with the stamps. And that's really important to me, you know. Okay, and we've lost it. Again, we go to motivation. Some kids do a really nice piece of work, and the last thing they want to hear is to be bored about, it was really nice, but do you know what, you could improve it further. No, leave it as it is. Okay, we've forgotten how important summative comments are. We're so obsessed by formative ones that sometimes you just want to say to a kid, that was great. And they love that. They walk out. Don't contaminate them with a target, just let it be. You know, like that. That's what used to motivate me at school. The teacher just saying, putting some wacky comment there, saying that was great. Brilliant, you feel really good about yourself. Don't ruin it. Okay? Humanities, stop ruining it. So, what else can we do? Well, I use this one a lot. Obviously, we know name pickers, and that's the Class Tools one, so it's totally free, and we give them nicknames. So we've got the Meganator there, Megan and whatever, and Goody and Larks and Dev, Charlotte Devlin, and they all got their nicknames, they like that. But how do we motivate them with homework? Because you know we're going to want it in, and we're in that position where we're setting learning homeworks, vocab, so they always think we're harder, and they're likely to get lower attitude grades because it can easily be found out if they've learned those words or not. What other homeworks are they doing? I asked my year 9, okay, because I set them words and they did very badly, and we talked through what they've got to do and how they could learn them and stuff. And I said to them, out of interest, just think, have you been set another homework like that from any other subject this year so far? He said, no. Don't forget, when you set them vocab, you're actually setting them something that's totally alien. They're not having that sort of homework elsewhere. So we've got to talk through them carefully how we can go about this, and otherwise they're going to get alienated and not like the subject. But also, obviously, it's a right or wrong. We know if they've learnt it, they get found out, don't they? And when they hand in that screwy bit of paper in another subject, that's my homework miss. It gets accepted, it seems. But you can't hide, can you, in a vocab test? And that's again where we've got to somehow just explain to them. You know, it's only 2,000. Just learn and we're fine. Okay, but you know, what's really important engagement there, I'm saying to my ones all the time, is it's just making them clear that language it's not a mountain that you can't climb. You know, there is high frequency vocabulary that we're all not original people, we all use, and we churn it over again and again. And once you've got those words, we know that the last 10,000 is only 2% or whatever, isn't it? The first 2,000 is 90%. And kids need to know that that can be achieved. And also, it's not those endless lists, and I'll come to that later. I'll probably be saying something now that's going to talk about later, but we need to get away from the list and say to kids, look, you need to know that applies to everyone. And then you need to personalise items. What I've started doing for each sort of topic that we do in Key Stage 3 is say you have to learn that, but here's a space in your vocab guide. You write down, think about what we're learning about, what you really need to know, and I'll fill it in when I mark your books next, so you've got those items for you. Because that's really important to them to have that personalised bit, not for us to dictate, these are the words that you need to know. Okay? And really that came about, and that's just something I've started since September, and they really like it. I've got mine, so those other 25 in the class, they don't know the 3 words I've got, these are just mine. Yeah, okay, that's great. But it came about really, this idea of vocabulary, and it's all very much anti, and with the new GCSE in England at the moment, one of the boards have asked me to do some work on it, and I'm sort of saying to them, look, you've got to stop this pigeonholing of vocabulary into topics. Okay, these long lists, because these words, a lot of them are cross-topic. They're generic words that could be used in any context. Why were GCSE exams expensive and cheap always in the topic of shopping? They don't have to be used for shopping, but this is what restricts language learning, because teachers teach them within a certain topic, kids learn it within a certain topic, and they can't transfer it. And a really good example of that is you say to, okay, well, I'm going to try one of our young pupils here. I'm going to try a question now. You're obviously good language learners, yeah? So give me, in the language that you learn, could be Welsh, the adjective for short. Okay, go on. That's not a bad one. Right, now tell me in Spanish, how do you say short hair? Pelo. Go on. No way. No, but pequeño is a good, that's good language learning, because you chose a word that's close, and substitution, we'd understand. If I said pelo pequeño, I think I'd sort of get some sort of message across there, so I'm not put you on the spot, sorry. But, you know, what happens usually, with a top set year 11, I could say, what's short? And they go, oh, I say short hair, they say Kutsahara. No problem at all. Showing that that word has been learned so much in association with that noun, they can't do anything else with it. And that's what we need to move away from. So, you know, that vocabulary is really important, that they see the relevance of it in that way, okay, and avoid the sort of long list if they can. But the homework idea on this one is, do you actually want to test every vocab test that they learn? Well, there's a quicker way. Okay, and the way we work, they never know whether I'm going to test it fully, or it's just going to be a couple of names. So on goes the name picker, last 10 minutes of the lesson, right, and they know what's coming. The name it falls on is going to be tested verbally, homework. Right, okay, these words then in German, come on, bum, bum, bum. And the class decide, have they learned it or not? And if they don't, they get a really good reward because they're put on the spot if they have. If they haven't, okay, they come back next lesson, they get a DT. That's the luck of all. And they get a bad mark. That's the way it goes. But, you know, the boys love that. They love the risk involved and the challenge. And then the class came out with the next idea, which is really good. They said, okay, that's good, sir, we like that. But the person who's picked by the fruit machine must have the right to nominate one other person in the class to do the same. I said, that's brilliant, because I know you're going to dob someone in who hasn't done it as well. Okay, so they pick that person. That's brilliant. So I've checked the homework and I've got nothing to mark. That's not bad, is it? Okay, so I don't do that every time, but again, it's variety. I think, you know, and I'm against departmental policy there, but Hazel knows I just do my own thing. But vocab as routine is not good. Kids don't particularly like, you know, it's always going to be second week learning vocab, second week learning vocab. Mix it up. Okay, right. So I've said that ironically because, like I said, I don't use textbooks, and we don't hardly at all. There's the odd occasion when I dip in, so I know there's something good, but we don't turn the page. So I think we can be very motivational, but not in the sense of textbooks. And as well as how we teach, which are sort of, you know, things, it is very much what we teach at Key Stage 3 as well. And, you know, I don't know if Wales has accepted the new recommendations on Key Stage 3 as subject content, but, you know, it does basically say you can teach what you want. It's not saying it has to be those traditional topics. So what we try to work in is things that are going to tick the progression box, of course. It can't just be anything. It's got to be learning achieved through it, but it's going to do it through the other contexts. So yes, we do Red Riding Hood in Year 7 because we want to create narrative skills, sequencing, use of third-person verbs. So that's all part of it. Okay, the fashion and football are key, that we do go on an exchange, and we need to equip people to be able to do the transactional language which they will use on an exchange. We do the music project because kids like talking about that. The cooking is important, okay, and I'll show you something about that in a second. And choosing a film. Okay, there's a really nice one in German now which is called Blöde Mütze, which we use. In the Spanish it's Laberinto de Pan, and things like that. And the one I really want to work on is theme park. We visit a theme park on the German exchange, and they love it, and they love talking about it and doing the rides, and there's some really nice clips on YouTube. And I thought I want to design a module of work in Key Stage 3 again where we are just spending the day at the theme park. Okay, and if I could persuade the school that we go to Thorpe Park or Alton Towers at the end of it, and we spend a day there, but we're only going to speak German or Spanish during that time there, I think I can persuade them. Okay, well, they have like business trips, don't they, to Disney World and things, so we can do that one. But that's going to be the one I'm working on next. I want to do this theme park idea where we do suggestions, we do, you know, exclamations, the ride was like this, I liked it because, and there's going to be loads of good opinion language we can bring in. But mostly, again, this is this year, okay? I just thought, and it's something I wanted to do for a long time, it's offer year 8, they opt at the end of year 8 at our school. Okay, and we've got quite a challenging year 8, I'd say, at the moment. They've come in with the worst raw scores that we've ever had for some reason, like it goes, just a cohort. And socially, they're quite demanding, and it's just one of those cohorts for some reason. And we've had to work hard with them. And on the German side of things, we've got 3 classes. We've got them set into 1, 2 and 3. And there's quite a few football keen people in there, not just boys, some of the girls as well, play for Southampton. And I do bits on football, obviously, and I've done after school stuff, you know, a bit like the double club, use some of those ideas, and taking it further. And I thought, wouldn't it be lovely, because I always wanted to do this, never really done it in my career, and we know how challenging they are, we could give them the choice, because we know that's a powerful thing. So we've got 3 staff, okay, I've got myself, Tom and Morgan. And Morgan really likes fashion, okay, and we think more are going to take football than fashion. So we're going to sell it to them and say, right, if you choose, we're going to split you all up for a month. Okay, you're going to do football where you're going to learn this, this and this, and the end product is going to be you're going to play the game only speaking football. We'll have the crowd singing football songs, we'll have the referee refereeing in German, okay, and you only speaking German when you're playing it. Okay? And work connected with that. And the fashion show, the end product is going to be, you know, a design written down and also the catwalk in German. Fine. And they're going to vote, and then we're going to mix them up, and they're going to do those lessons and show it to the other half what they've learned. I'm really looking forward to that. You know, it's going to be, it have its difficulties, but I think it's going to, then they're going to opt, we're going to do it just before they opt, basically, politically. And I think it's going to have a very positive effect in that way. So just trying to think outside the box all the time. Okay, now I've got a little task for you here, okay, with the people around you in your chosen language. Okay, there is a question to discuss. I'll give you 1 minute.
Moi je vois un chapeau. Chapeau magnifique et jaune. C'est la reine d'Angleterre.
Les femmes vieilles, bien sûr. Par les vêtements et après, bah, oui, bien sûr.
Et elle mange un gâteau.
Comme, c'est comme les Stepford Wives, bien sûr. Tu vois, écouter de Stepford Wives. Non? C'est.
Okay, thank you. I'm just doing a quick Michael go. We need to challenge our children more. There we go. So, pictures are wonderful. Does anyone do the IGCSE? Anyone do the IGCSE? Okay, well, for any new GCSE that comes along, I'm sure, to encourage spontaneity, as will be part of it, this will feature. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a picture task in any new GCSE that's coming. And it's good to start way down year 7 with them, and the kids find it very motivational. There's loads of good images that you can use there which are going to engage them. And it is very motivational for them to be able to. So what levels can we use this on in Key Stage 3? Okay, as way engaged. Well, it could be simply vocab spotting. It's the competition time. Come on, work in a table, here's a sheet of paper, you've just got 3 minutes, how many words, I'll take the sheets in, prizes for the best table. Okay, bit of vocab spotting. We could then do a sentence building about the picture. We could do a caption challenge. Okay, they really like that. Okay. Just work, best caption, we'll get the prizes again. That's all it is, just a quick activity based on that picture. It can have nothing to do with the current learning at all. Just be a general, okay, way into the lesson or the end of the lesson. Okay, that's quite important. You know, talk about progress. I'm sure in the new GCSE, and quite rightly, we're going to move away from this egocentric first-person world we work in. And kids need to be able to talk using other subject pronouns, and pictures are brilliant for achieving that. They've got to use they, she, he, you know, these sorts of pronouns. Opinions, conjecture, could be a dictate and draw task. It could be a memory game. I did with year 8 the other day. You know, there used to be a program on TV, and not many in this room old enough to remember it apart from me, called the Generation Game. It used to be Brucey, okay, on it, and it was just this conveyor belt, and they had to remember how many items they could remember. And that's a really nice one as well in language lessons, you know. Especially if you've got props, if you're dealing with them, okay, blindfold them, how many can you name in that period of time? So a dictated draw is really nice from a picture as well, where one person just tries to explain the picture in their language skills. You can have help on the board, and you know, the other one is blind and just drawing what they hear and comparing it. They really like that one as a motivational thing. So it's all practicing vocab really, isn't it? But yeah. And if you really want to stretch the brighter ones, something we never teach, but if we go to the country, it's one of those GCSE things, isn't it? You don't need it to get an A star at Spanish, but if you go to the country, you'll be saying it all of the time. Okay, ¿qué estás haciendo? Pues estoy practicando mi español. And another way of really stretching your brightest ones, you could ask them to talk about the picture in a particular tense. Okay? But again, that's just a way of variety in a lesson, you know, using a picture task. And all, you know, a way of achieving this with groups again is making sure that you don't do the same thing over and over again. And I've gone back to doing what I used to do 25 years ago, and I've forgotten what a good idea it was. And I always say to trainees, you can do this. Have your list of favourite generic activities that you can use on a grid. Have your classes that you teach, and each time you use one, just tick it. And when I plan a lesson, I just look at the sheet of that class, think, oh yeah, they've done that. Oh, they haven't done that one for a while. So I know what activities I've used with them, and I can just do a different type of one. It's really useful as a planning tool, because hopefully they know they're getting different things all of the time, and not just having the same kind of starter to motivate them all the time. Okay. Now, obviously, another way that we're going to engage is through the idea of, you know, not just passively sitting down, but getting involved in some way, acting out, okay, different types of activities. Yeah. And certainly the last time I came down to speak to in Cardiff actually was on the theme of active learning. I think I had all my inflatables with me that day. I remember walking through the streets of Cardiff, getting weird looks and things like that. So collaborative tasks, you know, how we're getting them to work in tables on things, and making physical response a routine part of the learning. I was doing connectives with Year 7 yesterday afternoon before I drove up there, and I just had them on the board, and we were doing them in German, and to tell you what it's about, we just go, und, auch, oder, aber, und, auch, oder, aber. That's all we're practicing 5 minutes, just till we're totally knackered. Okay, just getting them to use their connectives. And then I'll read out something with loads of connectives in, and every time they hear it, they've got to do it. Okay, so, quick, can we just get up for 1 second, please? We need to just act out these connectives. Okay, so, are we ready with, we're going to learn 4 German connectives. Okay, und, Hund, woof. Ironically, that works with Spanish as well, because you do pero, and then you pero, woof. They can't go. Okay, right. So, und, auf, und auf. Elvis Presley bit now. Oder, und, auf, oder, aber. Right, ready? Und, auf, oder, aber. Und, auf, oder, aber. Right, the right action, please. Auf, und, oder, auf. Thank you very much. Yes. But that's, you know, that is active learning for me. The connectives. I'm not telling what they learn. Then I'll read something out, and they hear one. You just get the task on this, and then we have a little rule that to really focus on connectives, and it keeps going for about the next month, and they get a little bit bored with it. But they've enjoyed it for the moment. That anytime anyone uses a connective, anyone has just got to do it. So you forget about it. You walk in one day, and say, okay, heute lernen wir das, und suddenly everyone's going like that. Oh yeah. I once got observed, okay, and I'd forgotten I did this, and I just said order very early on. Suddenly all the class got up and went, this person, what are they doing that for? I said, it's learning over time. That's what it is. It's evidence of learning. It was quite amusing. So that for me is sort of the essence. And what taught me to do that, to make language intrinsically physical, was teaching primary languages. Back in 2003 on that wave, where we thought we were going somewhere, and then the government stopped it, and then started it up again. Okay, but we were getting somewhere, and I just had to turn up, you know, from rushing from teaching year 11 into 90 year 3s there in the hall. Just what am I going to do for 20 minutes? It was all physical stuff, getting them to repeat with actions. And it taught me the essence of being a language teacher. I've been teaching, what, 15 years by then, and I'd never taught primary, but that taught me to be a language teacher. I really enjoyed that experience. It taught if your whiteboard breaks down, which mine does quite frequently, it taught you can survive still with flashcards and things. So, what else can we do? Yeah, the levels of learning are. Sorry, how do I go back? So, we can do loads of word level stuff with things. We can make it part of sentence level. Okay, you can get kids out to, you know, translation for me. I might just say a sentence in English, translate, and the kids come out one by one. I want to say I like playing football because it's exciting. Okay, first person comes out. Ich. Okay, next person. We'll build the line like that. Done a translation. It's easy. I haven't written anything. Okay, we've just formed a line. They focus much better because it's their peers. Much better than a smartboard to move the words around. Okay, and I learned that in primary. I thought, how am I going to get them to remember this sentence when I'm not only there for 20 minutes a week and there's no guarantee that the class teacher is going to do enough practice in between times? I thought, yeah, just each kid is a word in a sentence. Just remember that word. If the class gets stuck, oh, who was the second word? Oh, it was me. I was bin. Okay. They've always got a way of remembering it. So guardians of word guardians, I think I called them then. Okay, so what else have we got? Well, what about doing grammar? Okay, through language in some way with the verbs. So in about a month's time, okay, I'll be teaching them the verbs for year 7, the present tense paradigm. Okay, so all ready to follow? It's going to be a standing up moment in a minute. Okay, so we'll do it in German because maybe German is least represented. So it's good if we can all learn something. Okay, you ready to follow? Ich, du. Ich, du. Okay, now I have to do this. Sie. Ich, du, sie. Ich, wir. Du, ihr. Ich, du, sie, wir, ihr. Now the next one, the reason I said I came to Wales, I still remember a guy called Glyn. And I don't know where. I said it was you. You gave me the. I haven't forgotten your name. You gave me the idea about the. Now, what did you do? That was really nice to see you again. You gave me that idea, and I mentioned your name. Any training I do, I say Glyn in Cardiff gave me this idea. That's brilliant that you're still here. I remembered it from 5 years ago. And the first time I wanted to do something for the formal one. The first time I did it, I was sort of thinking formal, and I was teaching German lesson. It came out like this. I thought, but we can do something. We can do a nice sort of nice bow thing. And thank you very much for that. I still use that, and I do acknowledge it all of the time. No plagiarism there. Okay, and so we got ich, du, sie. Wir, ihr, sie, and now logically, sie, so it's going to be sie. Okay? Right, now are you all ready? You're going to need to stand up for this bit. Glyn knows what's coming. Okay, so this has got to be nice and loud. Can we make it louder? As loud as possible. Ready? Ich, du, sie, wir, sie. Ich, du, sie, wir, sie. Right, French on the next one. French. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous. Il, elle. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous. Il, elle. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done. We're doing it at the Millennium Stadium. Right, so there's the verbs for the subject pronouns. We just go on from there, but it's just an idea again of trying to sort of, make the grammar a bit more exciting in that way. But it's harder in Spanish to achieve because of, you know, the lack of use of subject pronouns sometimes. But French and German, absolutely perfect. Okay, now here's another one. Okay, just an idea again for making this learning as active as possible. And that idea of tense, which we talked about with the English department. Okay, and we need to move between the verbs. Okay, now this is playing on the idea of tense dancing and steps in time being very important. Now, this is where I always have the chance to dance with a young lady, so. ¿Eres española?
No, je suis française.
¿Una española? Aquí? Because they're going to know the flamenco. Best of all, best of all. Would you like to dance with me anyway? Okay, brilliant. It'll be dad dancing for me, that's all you'll get. Middle-aged weight transference with the odd that when I've had a couple of pints. Yeah? Okay, right. Now basically, so we're just going to do, it's like flamenco. Now, I'm leading, and leading means that I say, do you speak Spanish? Okay, which is your favourite language? Oh yeah, of course it is. Now, my French is useless, okay, so I'm going to do it in Spanish. Now, if I say a present tense verb, you can move one step sideways, either left or right. So if I say juego, you can go move me that way or that way. Yep? Okay. Actually, we should do it on the stage, really. Come on. Strictly. Okay, so perhaps I say juego. Actually, we could fall off the stage. Maybe I cannot do that to you. Okay, so, now, if I say future to you, you're going to move one step forward. So if I say jugaré, if I say jugué, juego, jugué, jugaré. Okay. Now, if I say an opinion, you've got to do the step and you've got to do a. Yeah. So if I say me gusta, step first of all, me gusta, present, and. Okay, because it's important. We've got to do a 12 for an opinion. Okay, now, I used to do this, and if there were a conditional tense up there, that would be a diagonal step. So if I said jugaría, you would go sort of diagonal. Okay. Yeah. Okay. My class thought of that one. My top set year 11 said we can have an extra one. Okay, now, thank you very much for demonstrating that. It's brilliant. So, I'll show you how it works before we do our own one. So here's my year 11s last year, because they love doing this, doing their timeline dancing. That's not me, though. Yeah. Now all the girls were sitting down just behind the camera. They didn't want to do it, so only the boys wanted to do it. It was interesting, but you know, they love that. And all you got to do is demonstrate. It's a bit dodgy with the kids start off, but it's very interesting. So there is a lot of space around. Okay, you just need to find a partner very quickly, because we're just going to. So, remember, you just have to explain it to kids and say, right, so the leading person is the one who says the tense. They're allowed to look at the board for inspiration. But the one who's understanding, recognising the tense, isn't allowed to look. They have to hear it, think, past, I'm going to move that person to my past. Future. So it's a tense recognition activity to really go. But the opinions as well count. So, everyone up, find a partner, please. You ready? You can do it in any language you like. Any language you like.
Best partner.
Are we ready? Here we go.
Do it in Spanish or Spanish?
Thank you very much. Spanish clapping. Gracias. Muy bien. They can't get enough of this. Good guy. Gracias. The kids got to be taught how to clap Spanish style as well. All English kids just go like this, no Spanish style. Gracias. Fantastic thing about languages teachers is, I always like when it's science or maths next door and they're really boring and sitting there and you get complaints, don't you? Like your lessons, oh, can you keep it down? No, this is languages. This is what we are. Okay, so thank you very much for that and your participation, brilliant. But that's maybe something, that's again a newish idea, and I've just been doing that in the last year really, and I don't know how it came to me, I just thought, time dancing and all of that, and I thought, yeah, fantastic. So any starter, or it can be used any time, just before controlled assessment to get them into the tense idea again, so do use it. I have to say that, no, you get the odd kid who doesn't want to do it, or fine, but most people do. Okay, so just a couple of ideas because, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, with all the fun things we do, and that is important, like I said, the memorable moments. Sometimes they're very educational, sometimes they're just a bit educational, fun, but people want to return to your classroom because they've enjoyed it. And you know, you have to build moments like that into your lessons sometimes. It can't all be plain, dry learning, can it, along the way? But we have got this area, like I said, that somehow that we know that to speak a language well, that there's going to be some hard work along the way, that the kids have got to put some words into their head. And so how are we going to do it? Well, like I said, making it clear that there is a high frequency, there is a finite number of words, that once they've mastered them, they will be able to interact really well just on those words. That'd be an interesting question, just go and ask our classes tomorrow. How many words do you need to know to speak a language? I wonder what answer we get. I don't know. Thousands maybe, they'll think it's millions. Trillions, year 7 would say. There. Okay, and I'll say thank you for that answer. Someone's observed my lesson, there's the numeracy. Move on. The idea what I said personalised. Now, this one is also really, okay, it's like the competition challenge versus the chore. I couldn't think of a second C, it was CC versus CC, but routine, I have to go for it. And the idea is we do sort of class, so with year 8 after Christmas, we'll start on this 4-week vocab challenge. Okay, and it's across all the classes, and we'll put the scores on an Excel document and colours for different teachers, and we're creating like who's going to win, who's going to be the best class, which teacher's going to win, and we'll have the league table up there week to week. Here's the results from last week, and you know, they really enjoy seeing that. And I actually had boys who've never learnt vocab before not wanting to be relegated to Div 2. So we're going to make 2 divisions out of this one for next time and have promotion and relegation. And just, you know, building on that idea of liking competition and challenge. And what we also do, and I'm going to do this with my year 7s and 8s leading up to Christmas, is the idea of the FA Cup, where that is testing kids' ability to sit down and know the words. Quick fire rounds, where we draw the names out of the hat, okay, like the FA Cup draw. Okay, Lancaster Gates. Okay, so Sam, Fierick, will play. Number 3, Jamie Roberts. Okay, now it's important the order of the draw because Sam is at home. So when they come to play against each other in the vocab challenge, Sam can sit at her table with her friends. Jamie will have to go and play away at her table. Only one away supporter allowed. So Jamie has to go into the cauldron of Sam's table there, face the away home support there with them all going. That's okay, and it would be like, so if you two were playing each other in your chosen language, you just got to tell me as quickly as possible this word. Rubbish. In French, Spanish, German? Okay, as quickly as you can, yeah? Chair. 2-0, 2-0. Three always wins. Cup. Right, brilliant. Okay, so you would go through to the next round, you won. And we don't do it all at once. It's like we finish off the lesson gradually, and we write the scores up, and then we draw the next round. And they love it, and it's fascinating. The girls are always very relaxed about it, you know, the girls do this, and I could demonstrate, but I won't, but the girls would just casually stand there, or sit there and go, oh, no worries. And the boys would be like this. Go with it. Okay. And they put their shirt over their head and run around. But it's very interesting how they react to that. But again, we get to the grand final, and it's all in front of the whole class, and it's the two quickest. They're really quick, some of them, much quicker than me. They can just name these words. And of course, you're dealing with the same words that you've set in the challenge, so you're just reinforcing that vocabulary. And even if they're not involved, they're hearing those words in the mix. So hopefully after that 4-week period, the aim is, you know, in year 8, you've improved your vocabulary by 50 new words, all really key words that you can use all of the time. And, you know, like I said, I'm not here to talk about IT, that's really not my strength, but I have been quite obsessed by this Memrise website. And who uses it already? But it's totally free, although it's got premium bits just come into it, hasn't it? But I'm sure one day we're going to have to pay for it. But you can just import Excel into it and create your list. It's superb, it's totally free, it's scientifically proven. It's a nice idea of planting something, then watering it to keep revisiting the vocab. And it starts off with multi-choice recognition, then you have to produce the word yourself. And you create the tests, and it's so easy to do. And then you create a class, and there's a leaderboard. And my year 11s, the same ones you watched doing the time dancing there, you know, we had to learn Spanish in a year because it was their second language. And they said they wouldn't have got there without Memrise to help them do the vocab. It's an app you can download to your phone, so at any time you can just get out and practice some vocab from Memrise. So as a non-IT fan, really, very much, okay, I have to say this has been superb. And 90% of kids say this has been really useful for learning vocab. So I've put all of our vocab up there, so anytime I set learning homework for vocab, they can always use Memrise and do the interactive way of practicing it. Okay. The other area of challenge is, of course, the writing. I haven't talked about that, but it is a part of our course, and it's you know, the less enjoyable one. And people always say, you know, how can I improve their writing skills? Well, you know, I would say, first of all, there's no actual evidence that the more they write, the better they become. I don't think just by getting kids to write more leads to improvement, because if I talked about that narrative chain, you know, what they need is a sense of narrative to write well, and you can achieve that through lots of means. It doesn't have to be writing all the time. But two that I do use a lot, and again, I was very surprised by the results. I saw kids who hardly ever write anything, suddenly producing. And the idea of the speed writing, the music playing, is pass the parcel. So you decide as a class, what's our title for this bit of written work going to be? Just decide on something we want to talk about. Okay, music plays, they hand the sheet around, you pass the parcel, music stops. The one who's holding the sheet when the music stops has to write. But the whole table contribute. So it's all of their thoughts going in, but that guy has to write. Okay, and of course you always stop the music on the person who least likes writing, usually a boy. Okay, and oh, it's me, look, no, I'm not. No, it's all random. Okay, it's fine. And then you give them a space, they start discussing what we're going to write. Right, we've got to, and you can put some criteria on the board if you want to remind them what's good in a piece of writing. Then the music starts, pass it around, and then, of course, once it's finished, you can then swap it between tables if you want. I always take it in, and then I give a prize. What was the best table? What were the highlight quotes from the writing you produced? Maybe a couple of the mistakes as well. Okay, but I suddenly found, in a collaborative way, and I thought about the loneliness, suddenly it's very alien to them, and doing all this collaborative work, and I have to think about practice. And, I get frustrated when, I don't know why, I was yesterday with year 7, we were doing all this, had the football out, was kicking one connected to another with this lad who really likes football, so he was trapping it, auch, okay, and all sorts going on. I've got kids who like boxing, so their way of practicing vocab is, one goes, short, and the other one goes, kurz, and they're practicing their vote, and there's all these weird things going on in different pockets of the room, and then I actually want to settle them down to do they took some settling down. I'm thinking, well, you can't expect them. You built this up, you can't, it's year 7s, they're not just going to automatically change phase. just like that. But I think I'd rather have the interactivity than the other bit. But those, you know, it's amazing. They suddenly wrote more. I had a whole sheet of writing in from a table. If I'd done that individually with them, they wouldn't have done anything. And so that taught me, yes, okay, I do it about once a half term. Usually just before the end of half term, they know, let's do a bit of speed writing. Come on, who's going to do the best this time? What we're going to write about? Okay, there's our title, away we go, free writing. And the haikus are really good as well. And of course, you know, the Japanese poem form, is it 5 syllables, 7-5? Okay, but you know, Google it and there's lots of examples on the internet of those ones. And here's a couple of my ones. So if you didn't know anything about them, it's just a little poem about something you may be working on or randomly, and the third line sort of sums up the rest of the poem. But it's 5 syllables, 7-5. I think. Und matte ist so lang. Yeah. Y un culo tan sexy. Yeah. More or less. Yeah. Okay. So they produced that. Okay. And it's really interesting because it gets them really thinking about language. It's so minimalist that it's really good habits because they realise that if they use a qualifier, that's a really good way of using up maybe 2 extra syllables by sticking a qualifier in front of a opinion word in that way. So it encourages them really good habits. Okay, and for colloquial language it's nice because in German you can knock off the verb ending like say spiel and save a syllable there if you need to in that way. So another way of sort of competition through writing now that we're going to do in year 8, going looking at options, is that we're going to bring in the idea of a haiku competition. They work in pairs. Take them time, then they're going to present it on a nice, you know, they can do it on the computer if they want, with pictures around it. Here's my haiku representing the theme, and we'll give prizes again for what the best haikus are in the year group. So again, trying to make writing a more motivating experience than it is at the moment. So, you know, they're quite challenging in a way, okay, because they're so minimalist. We really have to, but that's what's so good about it. I really like that aspect of it. And the last thing, really, I just want to say on this theme is, you know, it's using the idea of target language being a very positive force. That it's what's different about us. It's what's difficult sometimes about us, but it's also, you know, what's motivating when that kid says something original and speaks the language really well. It's such a sense of achievement. We all know that I can still remember my first time. I think I had a German conversation. It wasn't my first exchange because I was useless and I hardly spoke anything. My second one, I thought, wow, I just managed to I had a conversation. This is brilliant, and that, you know, it's great, isn't it? That feeling. Sorry about we missed out. I was so spontaneously creating this slide that I spelt it wrong. A bit like Ofquell. I wrote a letter to Ofquell once representing 80 Hampshire secondary schools, 70% of which, in my survey, told me that they had no faith in the way writing was being marked at GCSE. And Ofquell sent me back a response where they spelled qualification wrong in the first line. I said, don't worry, we know there's an issue, we're looking at it, and it will be sorted by 2016. And I suggested to them that it was quite an urgent issue, but no, not urgent enough for 2015. So I'm going to need to write back to them now. I'm having a dialogue, you know, that we're meant to have with children in books these days, yeah. So, we can't underestimate, and you know, some people might know about the group talk project that I have been heavily involved in, the spontaneous talk. And I'm not here to talk about that, I don't have time to do that today, but just to say that, you know, again, what are their needs? Going back to that teenage moods things again, that empowering, when they think they can say something that's colloquial and just like that, feel good about it, that's a motivational moment as well. So just that they're armed with these sorts of phrases to just say that, okay, as a response in the lesson at any time. Okay, you say to them, you know, du hast deine Hausaufgaben nicht gemacht. Und? Egal. Okay. Now, if a kid says that to me, if I said in English, if I said, you haven't done your homework, and he said, whatever, obviously I get very upset. But it's fine, isn't it, in the target language? I'm really pleased that they said that. And I actually say, you know, target language is so important. And I didn't bring my shades today, which is a shame, because I have the very cheap Chinese company on the internet. You can get the flags on the sunglasses. Be careful, because if you do the World Cup, you Google World Cup sunglasses, you can pay, they're like Paco Rabanne, 50 quid. No, these are like $2 each. They're shipped from America. I'm trying to think of the name of the company, but Google it, and I've got them for German and Spanish, so I just put them on. Okay, and that means only German or Spanish being spoken in the room at this moment. And then I raise them, and then they're back on again, and they love it. Okay, and it's that idea of sticking in the target language, but just for periods of time, because we know it's unrealistic, it's not going to be all lesson long, but trying to say, well done, you know, I know 80% of you survived for 10, you know, low ability group, 5 minutes, you made 5 minutes there without speaking English, that's fantastic. That was the challenge, gummy bears for all of you. So we can't underestimate, yes, the difficulty of the target language, but also the power of it, okay, if we can achieve that in the classroom. Okay, and that's still, after all these years, you know, what we want. There's nothing that beats, is it, for us when we hear that, a really nice piece of language. But that's what makes that magic moment. We've all had them, and when you have a really difficult class and it's bad, but then you get a kid suddenly using language in some creative way, and you think, oh yeah, that is so nice, and that's why I'm doing the job. Hopefully it wasn't too personal a take on the theme I was asked to talk about, and there were some useful ideas like the time flamenco dancing or whatever, but thank you very much for having me, and I hope it was of some worth. Thank you.